All this time, you've been chasing ghosts. You call it being nice. You call it clarity. You tell yourself, I just don't want to play games. But every time she pulls back, you panic. You send the double text. You wait online hoping she's watching. You reread her messages, hunting for some hidden code, as if affection is a riddle that needs solving. And you don't see it. You don't see the game you are playing, a rigged one where your need for reassurance becomes your own rope. And the tighter you grip, the faster she slips away. Because she doesn't want the man who tries to win her. She wants the man who doesn't even flinch. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to pull away with such silent power. She won't be able to breathe without thinking of you. You check your phone. Nothing. It's been 2 hours since you sent that text. You're staring at the screen like it owes you something. You cycle through rationalizations. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she didn't see it. Maybe I came on too strong. But the truth is simpler. She doesn't feel the tension yet. She still thinks you're available. Predictable. There. And when a woman feels that, her attention drifts. Not because she's cruel, but because you've collapsed polarity. You've blurred yourself into the background. You're no longer a mystery. You're now just available. So here's the core concept you need to burn into your spine. Power lies in silence, not in speech. When she sends a half-hearted hey and you reply within seconds, you've already told her you don't have a life she needs to compete with. You've told her she is the center of your attention. You've told her she's already won. And once a woman believes she's already won you, she stops chasing. Because her dopamine doesn't surge when you hand her the prize. It surges when she almost has it, but not quite. When she feels it slipping just beyond reach, that's when obsession begins. But the minute you break the rhythm, the second you wait to respond, the moment you let her words sit unanswered in the dark, you spark something ancient in her. Confusion, curiosity, competition. She looks at your name in her inbox and wonders, why hasn't he replied? She rereads her own message, analyzing tone, wondering if she misstepped. She starts to feel what you've been feeling, and that flips everything. But let's go deeper. There's a difference between ignoring and being indifferent. Indifference is emptiness. Ignoring with purpose is control. She texts you when you see it, you smile. You set the phone down, and you go do something better. Not as a tactic, but because your world doesn't orbit her. You get in the gym, you hit the cold shower, you meet up with friends, you keep living. And here's the paradox, the less you check your phone, the more she checks hers. Because silence breeds narrative, and her brain starts writing stories. Did he meet someone else? Is he mad at me? Why isn't he chasing like all the others? Her ego starts to starve. And when a woman's ego starts to starve, she comes crawling because it's not you she needs. It's the feeling she used to get from controlling you. And now she can't find that lever. You've removed the button. You're no longer an emotional vending machine. You're not reacting. You're not available on demand. You're busy being a man. And you know what happens when a man does that. She spirals. She posts thirst traps. She sends accidental texts. She starts referencing things you once said just to bait your attention. And if you stay silent, if you don't rush to validate her, she'll start breaking. Because you've become what every woman craves but can't explain, an emotionally unshakable force. And she'll test you. Of course she will. She'll send you something sweet. Then wait. She'll wait to see if you crack. And if you reply fast, if you break the frame, even once she wins, the spell breaks, you're just like the others. But if you don't, if you hold, if you breathe through the urge and sit in that hunger, you become the addiction. She starts looping, refreshing, waiting, dreaming. Because in a world of desperate validation junkies, you are silence. And silence is the loudest signal of strength she's ever felt. She'll ask herself, did I mess this up? She'll wonder if you saw it, if you're mad, if you moved on. Her mind will eat itself alive trying to fill the silence. And that's the shift when she's no longer analyzing you, but analyzing herself. That's when she falls, not for you, but for the way you make her feel. That's when she starts chasing. And you haven't done anything. You didn't send flowers. You didn't call. You didn't write long paragraphs explaining your feelings. You just waited. You pulled back. And that void, the one she thought she controlled, starts swallowing her whole. This is where the power lives. Not in aggression, not in coldness, but in restraint. In emotional discipline. In not being pulled like a puppet every time she dangles a breadcrumb. That's the core trait most men lack: emotional self-control. You think it's about how fast you can win her? It's not. It's about how long you can go without needing her. That's the test. That's the forge. That's the difference between being chosen and being used. Now, let's go back to your phone. Let's say she finally texts you something with a little warmth, maybe a compliment, a memory, a flirt. It's the kind of message that would have made you melt a month ago, and your fingers itch. You want to type. You want to say something clever, funny, charming, but you don't. You set the phone down, not because you're playing games, but because you're no longer playing at all. You're not responding out of impulse. You're responding out of intent. If you reply now, she wins. The dynamic resets. But if you wait until tomorrow, if you let the tension build, that's when she becomes obsessed. That's when she starts looking for you in every room, every screen, every song. Because women don't fall in love with the guy who gives them comfort. They fall for the man who gives them uncertainty, the one they can't fully read, the one they can't quite grasp, the one they fear losing before they even have him. That fear, that's powerful. It burns through her defenses, it bypasses logic, it awakens instincts older than language. And that's what silence does. It doesn't make her feel ignored, it makes her feel vulnerable, it forces her into motion, into action, into pursuit. Most guys will never feel that shift because most guys are too scared to wait. They want reassurance, they want approval, they want to be told, you're doing it right. But there are no instructions in masculine energy. There is only direction, stillness, presence. That's why she spirals when you don't reply. Because she doesn't feel like she's in control anymore. And when a woman loses control, she does whatever it takes to get it back. That's when the late night texts come. The accidental likes on your old photos, the fake emergencies, the sudden compliments, all of it just to pull you back into orbit. But here's the thing, you don't return to orbit. You've outgrown it. You're not avoiding her. You're evolving past her. You're not being rude. You're being rooted. Rooted in your time, your mission, your purpose. And when she sees that, when she realizes she's no longer the gravity holding you together, that's when she breaks. And that's when she follows. Because a man who doesn't chase is a man who commands. And a woman can't help but chase what she can't command. You wake up the next morning, and there it is. 3 messages from her. One is casual. Hey, the second is slightly more open. You up the third. Now that's the giveaway. I was just thinking about last weekend, LOL. She's spiraling. But notice something. None of these texts are direct. None of them confess what she's really feeling. Because that's the game she played for years. Stay vague. Stay mysterious. Hold the cards. But you flip the board. You didn't answer her first move. Now she's playing blind. And you're calm. You're grounded. You're not reacting. You're choosing. You don't rush to respond because you've tasted what it feels like to be free of her validation. And it's not that you don't want her. It's that you don't need her to feel powerful anymore. That shift it shows in how you move, how you speak, how you breathe. You no longer sit in weakness pretending it's affection. You sit in strength. And that strength, that silence draws her closer than any words ever could. She wakes up thinking about you. She goes to bed wondering what you're doing. Not because you texted her good morning and sweet dreams, but because she hasn't heard from you at all. She's addicted to the absence. She replays old conversations. She stalks your socials. She stares at your green dot and fights the urge to call. You're no longer a man in her inbox. You're a presence in her mind. A riddle she can't solve. A story without an ending. And that is how obsession is born. But don't get cocky. The power isn't in knowing this. The power is in living it. Day after day. Refusing to flinch, refusing to fold. Letting go of the addiction to control. Letting her come to you because she wants to, not because you baited her. That's where 99% of men fail. They try this for a week. They ignore her once. Then she texts, and they break. They fold like paper. And the moment she senses it, the moment she knows you were just pretending to be strong, she pulls back harder than ever before. Because no woman obsesses over an act. She obsesses over the real thing. So become the real thing. Sit with your discomfort. Let your hands itch. Let your mind scream. Let the urge to respond burn through you and do nothing. That's how you train your nervous system. That's how you rise. Not through dominance, through discipline. You don't win her attention with charm. You win it with absence, with restraint, with space. Because space is where feminine desire ignites. Not in closeness, not in availability, but in that almost in the ache, in the mystery. That's why she spirals. That's why she comes back harder than before. Because in that silence, she remembers the version of you she first wanted. The version she couldn't predict. the version who didn't need her. And maybe she starts to realize that this time, if she doesn't step up, she might actually lose you. Not to another girl, but to yourself. To the man who finally chose his own gravity. And that's a loss she doesn't know how to recover from. They told you to always be kind. They told you to always respond, to never leave her on red, to be available, respectful, open. They told you women love communication, that if you don't reply fast, she'll lose interest, that if you hesitate, she'll think you're playing games. But what they didn't tell you, what they never dared say out loud is this: women don't fall for the men who answer. They fall for the ones who don't. Because interest doesn't breed obsession. Distance does. You've lived it, haven't you? You've poured your attention into a girl who gave you breadcrumbs, and each time she pulled away, your desire grew. It wasn't her affection that addicted you. It was her absence. The unanswered texts, the mixed signals, the lingering what-ifs. Now flip it. Now you are the one pulling away. Now you are the absence. And suddenly, she's the one refreshing the chat. Not because she's lonely, not because she's in love, but because she lost control. And that collapse of her emotional leverage drives her crazy. You've taken back the wheel. You've become unpredictable. You're not cold. You're centered. You no longer orbit her moods. You no longer chase her validation like a dog waiting for scraps. You've stopped apologizing for your time. You've stopped explaining your silence. You've stopped performing. And now she's performing. She's laughing louder around other guys, hoping you'll notice. She's posting cryptic captions to bait a reaction. She's going on a date she doesn't even care about just to feel wanted again. Because deep down, she doesn't want him. She wants the version of herself she was when you still chased her. But now she's the one in pursuit. And that imbalance, it messes with her wiring. It haunts her. It makes her question everything. Because if a man can ignore her and still be calm, whole, unfazed, what does that say about her power? It says the truth. That it was never real power, it was borrowed. It was only as strong as your need for her. But now that need is gone. And in its place, there's only one thing left: gravity. The quiet, stoic pull of a man who doesn't need anything, but who attracts everything. And that's the final irony. She's not obsessed with you. She's obsessed with the way she feels when she can't get to you. She's addicted to the emotional hunger you once suffered from. You flipped it. You starved the loop. You broke the script. She texts again. Why are you being distant? You see it. You smile. You wait. Because the second you stop being her fan, she becomes yours. You don't get her back by waiting. You get her back by never needing her again.